your 2021 Pleasure-Way Tofino. Obviously, there's the pop-top camper, has no air conditioner. So let's just kind of go check it out. We're gonna go around the outside first. We're gonna go over all the accessories and everything on there. You and I had that talk earlier, so kind of adjusted what you want a little bit more in-depth explanation on. So you have your entry door, the entry steps. Behind your entry step there, underneath your door, you have your LP filling station, as we talked about. So the big yellow one is your filling area. The little one here, this is going to be your bleed valve. And then this here will be your propane connection. This is a quick connect, so you can get those connections for that. On the top, there's a little black handle. You gotta make sure that that little black handle is in line with the hose to allow flow of gas into it. And you do have this nice dust cap, so you don't catch the road grime while going down the road. This little vent right here, that's gonna be your vent for your batteries and everything. Now, all your batteries and the inverter are underneath your seat. You have some 120 outlets when you plugged in the shore power right here. Those go on the exterior. And then one other thing, we do have an outside light right here. This unit does not have an awning, so I mean that's something you could look afterwards to upgrade to. We have our plug screen, so you can easily just plug down. Goes all the way down. And you have your zippers. Now the cool thing about this unit is that you have your zippers all the way down. You do have your magnet style of opening, so you can just push it open and go inside. So you don't have to worry about unzipping and re-zipping every time you go out and in. It has a nice little handle to help keep it closed so you don't have all the nice plugs come in. And it has the nice spring block on the bottom, preventing a nice flying plug trap so that they don't come inside your unit. And then you just unzip it and bring it all the way back up. Now we're going to go into the rear. All the way back here, you notice this little Velcro strap. Now this is so you can put your short cord right here, strap it up, loop it through. It'll hold your short cord on here so you have more storage room. Currently I got the lights off. Let me go inside real quick, turn those on for you, and then we'll be right back. Alright, so I got the lights on and everything. We'll go over that in a few minutes. Back here we have our main distribution panel. That's where all your 120 breakers are right here. Now, if you need to have your sewer, that's right here in this little compartment. We have an outside shower hose, which alternatively you could probably turn the back of this into a shower stall. You have your connection that's over here on this side, the passenger side. Just press it in. That's going to give you flow right away. Now I don't have the water pump on. And it's a quick connect, so you push back the collar to release it. I recommend draining out the hose after. Just open up the end of it. So, then you tighten and close it off. All the way in the back here is also where you have storage for your front window blind. This is kind of just like your regular fold blind, except that it gives you two for the left and the right side of the driver and passenger door. You have a little holder right here. This is where the leg for the table, which is already set up inside there, that's where that's stored. Now when you're trying to set this up for the bed, just lift up on these. These are magnetized. You just put them in place. That allows you to have the support for the upper bed section, which is above my head here. Now, while we're also up here, you have your two clips. You also have your back door, the screen door as well. So you can zip this all the way down. Now, if you're trying to keep everything inside here a little bit more private, you can do so. Or you can unzip this a little bit, and you can roll this up. And you have your clips here on both sides. So you can still have your bed private and still have access to all your stuff from opening and closing the doors. Now, if you didn't want that, you could do the same with this. By opening this up, rolling this up, you have the same straps on the inside as well, so you can strap up this section and leave this section down, vice versa. You'll also notice that there is Velcro at the floor line. That's because there's Velcro on the bottom edge here. So when you have this all the way down, that stops all your bugs from coming in and crawling in from the bottom. Now, this being the Dodge ProMaster van, these doors do go around, like so. So if you need to have more space behind you, you can open them all the way up and come back up to where you gotta go. And your back blinds is this back screen. Is going to be your back blinds, so you want to put this down prior to setting up the bed. Also on the very back here, we have our pitch 7-way and flat 4, and all the way at the top we have a backup camera in the center, so that's a nice feature of this unit. Now let's check out the driver's side. So we had a pressure test going on here. So this is your garden hose connection. It's right here. So you just hook up your standard garden hose. Now I'd recommend getting a little inline water filter so that you don't put any clay or anything inside of this. Right here, this is our propane gas shutoff switch. So when you turn this off, it's down. To turn it on, press up, that turns it on. Then we have our 30 amp connection right here. And then over here, this is your vent and intake for your Truma water, your Truma furnace. And then we have this section here. Now this is so you can put water into your fresh tank. Find where I put your keys. And that's going to be your C751 key. So you unlock it, you have this fill, and then you can fill with gallons of water, or you can use a garden hose and stick it in the hole and fill it up that way. Also, we have another vent, which is up top here. Now, when you're using the gray tank, all you have to do is make sure that you're not dumping anywhere where the state doesn't want you to. And it's gray water, so that means that's all going to be more biodegradable stuff. So if you use more friendly soaps, it's more healthy for the environment. So if you look into more products that have less chemicals in them, something more earthbound and waxy-like, it's more prone to not mess up the environment. So I wouldn't feel bad about putting that on the ground. At campgrounds and waste facilities, you can dump in those locations anything you want. You have your gas door on the driver's side, behind the door. You have your running board into your entry, all a little bit dirty. Apologize. We have our hood here to open the hood. And then we have underneath our hood here. So there's a couple add-ons from here from the manufacturer. That's all over here. So all that's taken care of properly, but you have a jump spot here for your power. So you put your positive end here, and then you put your negative end on the pole here if you ever need to jump start this unit. You got your antifreeze, your brake fluid, and then on the passenger side, you got your steering power steering fluid and your window washer fluid. I left that open just so the technician can continue when it gets in. Now your seats do rotate around. And you got all the bags of your goodies for everything to read through to make sure that you're doing manufacturer specifications of operations. That's all on here. And you have a quick start guide right here. And your owner's manual. You got a front license plate holder, which you can install to the front of the van. All the systems and a flat tire pump right here. So this is going to have your flat tire compressor and a fix-a-flat, which is in it. That's everything that's kind of in here. Let you go through that when you get it. Now to rotate this seat, you're going to want to pull the seat forward. When you're rotating your seats, you also want to have the door open. And then I believe it's the inside of it. Yep. Rotate it all the way around. Now the lever I pulled on was this corner here. This corner is what rotates it. The other side does the backrest. And then once you get it around, then you can lift up on the bar and push it back. While we're looking at this side, we also have our fire extinguisher here. And then you can rotate the driver's seat as well, but you must depress the emergency brake, so you want to make sure that you're on flat level ground before rotating that seat. Now with this seat all the way around, you're not going to be able to put this in drive and everything, so you must rotate the seat back into the forward facing position and locked in place. This here is your table. You can move this inside and out. So this table here just comes up now. I believe this one sits behind the driver's seat. Yes, it does. So we have these nice little latches here. So you want to face this forward. So you can latch these over like so. Now this end here comes off. This is the front part. Kind of like a little bit of a claw. Let's try this one. So I'm gonna put my feet on the bottom there. Yep, and give this a nice little twist. Now this part is the part that goes in the back, which I'll show you in a minute. This one here you just lift up. Now behind the driver's seat there you have these straps. I recommend leaving the round part out to yourself. Velcro these in place. Now we do have the true induction stovetop here. Now all you have to do is find a pan that has a magnetic base, and then it will induct through induction through that pan there and cook it off. It actually works really fast and heats up really, really fast. We have our sink next to there with a nice cover. So you just pull it down to operate it. Now this unit does have a fresh tank and everything, so let me turn on the water. There we are. So it's kind of spitting out right now because it was pressurized. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so I got the water pump on, a little pump water from our fresh tank. It's a little wet and wild with the water pump, as this is the only source other than the back there. Now this does have the nice bumpers on there so you don't bump your head, which is awesome. Alright, so underneath there we have two outlets. So you have your induction stovetop. So if you pop it, that's going to turn off the power to your induction stovetop. And then you push it and that resets it. You have a GFI protected outlet here. We have some more storage space underneath here with our plumbing. We have a lot more storage behind us here. And in between those, we have our Freedom X controller. So this is our Xantrex Freedom X controller inside of the Tofino. So I wake it up by hitting escape. Right now we're plugged in. To turn it on, all we got to do is press the button when we're unplugged. Would you be a doll and unplug us real quick?
Mm-hmm. Just keep talking.
So right now you can see that it's taking source from there and it's bypassing the inverter itself, taking power from there, charging our battery bank, and also bypassing it and powering our outlets, meaning the little light right there. Now it says float, so it's full. Now she's unplugged, so it's going to take a few seconds. There we go. Now we're fully unplugged. You can see that we have 0 watt. Our battery voltage is 13.6 volts. If I push the up button, we're still inverting at 120 volts at 60 hertz. This is a settings page, another settings page, and then back to home. So right now we have 0 watts load on there. So if you're using your amplifier, you'll be able to find out how many watts of load you're going to have on this unit, and then you can calculate how many watts of power that you're going to have throughout the thing out of the usage of it. Now the one thing you want to keep an eye on is your 13.5 volts. You don't want to take that down below 11.8 volts. So that's where I was talking about voltages. And then to turn off, you just unindent it like so. That's going to turn that off, and then the screen will go black. Now there's no longer any 120 into the coach right now, so everything else is off of 12 volts. So your lights are 12 volts, the bunk lights are 12 volts, your controller up top is 12 volts. So all you have to do is turn it back on. It's going to go through its own wake up sequence, so you're not going to see any display there. Waiting for it. There we are, we got a good green light. Now we can see we're at 13.5 volts, giving us 120. So now we're able to use our induction stovetop while off-grid camping. Also, you'll be able to plug into your outlet here. So this would probably be your best outlet for your amplifier there, so that you can put it right at the step at the door there, so you can kind of chill at your entry door there while playing with your bass. Below that there we have our LP and CO2 detector. So this here will go off if there's too much CO2 or if it has smells LP, meaning if there's a leak inside the unit from the furnace. There's a little vent next to those. There's 2 vents on the floor. Those are your vents that are going to give you heat. Now these here are movable, so you can change the direction of heat. Now they're not super loose to do, so kind of keep that in mind. They move a little bit. And then let's check out underneath the seat here. So you can see under here though.
Go ahead.
Underneath the seat here we have our charge disconnect. So if it's winter time, you don't want to be charging your batteries, as they can damage them. So you can undo that. That's going to stop the unit from charging. Also, that disconnects the solar, I believe. Six. Yes, it does disconnect the charging volts from your solar power. So you have to have that on to control your solar. And then on the opposite side by the entry door, we have this little red toggle switch. If you push down on that, that's going to kill all 12 volts to the coach, except for the inverter. So when you're storing this, you need to have this off. If you're storing this inside, you got to have this charger section off. And you need that button off on that inverter pad, which is underneath the countertop, or you're going to discharge your battery inside your unit. So if you're going to use it, you got to turn it back on. So I'll start with this switch here. That's going to awaken everything else up. Going to make sure we're on the charging there. Right now I'm not going to be using any 120 source, since we kind of went over that. But to the right of our camera here, we have our refrigerator. So at our very top here, this is our lock for the fridge here. So you can see that it's going to lock it open. So push it like so, where this is in line. That allows it to open and close properly. Lock it like so. It's going to either A, stop it from coming open or coming closed. Now if you use some force there on the door, it will open up. So if you don't open up on the handle, that's going to help lock it in place so when you go down the road, it doesn't rattle open on you. But once you get to the site you're at, you can open that up, and you can open up the door. Now in here, there's not a whole lot of space, but you do have a freezer inside here, which we're testing the temperature. Make sure we got the proper rate. We got the proper rate inside the fridge here. And we do have a nice little fruit tray here, so you're able to put all your perishables under there. And there is a little bit of door storage here and butter storage. Above that, we do have our USB outlet, so we can charge our phones. And then we're going to talk about next is our one-touch display, which is up above the table there. So I'll meet you up there and just show you that. Okay, so this is our big touchpad here. We also have our push button pad here, so when you're up inside the tent top, you still can control all of your lighting and your water pump, so we can turn that off here. And then you have master lights here. So we have right here, this is our Truma Vero heat. So to use that, we got to make sure we have our propane on. If it's blue, it's activated, and this is where we change our temperature from colder to hotter. Then we have our living room, our reading lights, which are behind me, our loft lights, which are up in the tent there, and our porch light, which is that over the entry door light. We have our water pump switch here. We also have our level sensors here, so we can see our fresh tank is full. We have an empty gray tank, and we have 97% of propane gas in our unit. We also can control our solar charger here. So right now we can see that our panel voltage is 13.5 volts, our charge volts 13.3, and we're getting 0 amps into it of no charge. Now, if we're getting no charge, I recommend you just push it off so you're not worrying about using any of your system there. Now, when you have it on, you can hit the little settings part, and you can see what your charge percentage and panel voltage, historical amps. You have 200 amp hours of your battery bank system, which is lithium. Your battery thermistor charger is 64 degrees. Now, the thing with having this, since it is lithium, these are temperature sensitive, so you need to have this above 46 degrees interior battery temperature, which is right here. And also you need to have that under 130 degrees. So if it's too hot in here, turn on the dash air until this cools down enough, and make sure you have all your windows and doors closed at that time. Or if it's too cold, you're going to want to turn on your dash heat to help warm up the unit. You can see what your max rated voltage is on this, but none of this really matters. Your max over power is 1200 watts on your unit there. Above this, we have our battery voltage sensor. So we can see that our battery voltage is at 100% at 13.4 volts. And we have a battery temperature up here as well. We have our average life. So right now we have a day and 1 hour. If we just leave all of our lights on 24 hours, we can have just the lights on for 24 hours and nothing else. Now this is going to change per your solar input throughout the day, so you're going to see that this changes periodically. Right now we're using 7 amps, like I said, with the fridge. They pull 7 amps, and the lights are going to pull maybe about half an amp, which this doesn't have 0.5s in it. So this is full amps it's going to show of power. So right now we're consuming negative 7 amps. We're using 7 amps. With the living, reading, and loft area, these are variable for dimming, so you can dim them down if you need to. So we got all that going on here. The next settings is our settings page, so we can change our Celsius to Fahrenheit. We have our dimming for our backlight here.
We have our screen settings, so we can have a light or dark color scheme. You have a power savings settings. So this here will turn off the screen in 15 minutes. All you have to do is tap it to reawaken it. We can do our diagnostics. If there's an issue with it, we can see what of our systems, our firmwares, our controller statuses. Blue's indicating that they're operating good. We have our G12 to see what our panel outlets are for our furnace triggers, spare fuses, porch lights. Our DCMM3, which is our charging system for our battery. You can see our temperatures, our amp bank size, our battery percentages, and we can see if there's any faults in the unit, which there is none. Then we have our model number, well, coach model there. We have our time there, which we can change. Our switch settings, so we can see what our batteries are for our wireless switch to make sure that these here are working, like so. And then you have a power button, so from home you can hit the power button to turn off the screen. Now above that we have our thermistor. This is where our temperature for our house is going to be noticed. So if I hold this for a little bit, you'll see the little button down, the little number down here start to go up. The little number in the screen here is going to be your house temperature. The upper one is going to be what your temperature is set at. So next I'm going to show you how to set up the bed. Before I do that, we have our windows, which are just blinds which you can pull down. Now these do have magnets which help keep them closed on them. And then the one behind the sink has windows that open. So you just twist these open. And you can leave these open when you're still. I recommend keeping these closed if you're going down the road so a gust of wind doesn't pull them off. And then it's the same for this, which you can pull this down to let this up. So let's go over the bed real quick, and then we'll go over how to properly open and close the top. So right here, this is our bed and seat and couch, and also it is a two-seater back here, which you have your seat belts for. So to make this bed, just lift up, down just like a futon. Now up above us here, we have these. These would normally be closed, like so. So these here have these little holders for the pin, which you kind of have to line up. Once you line those up, bring this over top of you, bring it down. And then you have your full-size bed back here, so it's awesome. And then you have your bed all the way up top. That's a full-size bed up there as well. That's the same size as the bed down here. You have your lights over top, and then you have your smoke alarm all the way up top, which is just like a standard smoke alarm. You have your windows, which you can open and close. Not all of them have vents. But to close this, you're going to go ahead, pull in on these red tabs, and then grab these handles. I pull it down halfway, and then I kind of help the canvas in a little bit while holding on to one of these. I'll make sure that I turn off the top loft, just so I don't have any heat coming into it. Bring it all the way close like so. Then we're going to stuff these corners underneath. Pull down on the handle there. Stuff this one in, pull down on the handle until it locks. Then we'll stuff this one, and then secure the lock there. Now you can take these, kind of tie these up if you want, so they're not just dangling there in front of your face. And that's how you close your top. Super simple, easy. And here's your smart alarm again. And then to open it, you just redo the steps backwards. Go ahead and push it up, and then it will relax all the way up. and then you can push out your awning parts there, and then turn your loft back on. Simple, easy. Now with the 30 amp cord, like I was saying, you can get an adapter, plug it into 110 anywhere. That's going to charge it enough, since you don't have any real 30 amp service other than your true induction stovetop. So that's the only thing I wouldn't suggest running unless you're plugged in the 30 amp. If you're plugged in the 15 amp, you can run anything else. Now you have your ladder back there, it just extends and contracts. Pretty sure you watched a video on that. And you do have your USB outlets up here as well, so you're able to charge your phone in both locations and have easy access to them. Any other questions on this, feel free to give Harris a call. We're going to attach different chassis front end, which is the exact same thing, throughout all these units. I'm going to kind of put this clip in here, but I'm pretty sure you already knew this. You don't want to be driving down the road with this open. You always want to make sure that's closed and secure before moving down the road. Just as a disclaimer, just want to make sure you know that. Pretty sure you already do. Just wanted to reinforce that for you. So now we're looking at our chassis side here. We have our heads-up display. We have our steering wheel. On our steering wheel we have our up and down for volume control for our radio, our mute, our voice command, our end call, our select up and down, and our call button. On the left side of it, we have our battery boost. So if our chassis battery here was dead, we can go ahead and hold the on button while trying to start the coach, which will jump start it. On the right hand side, we have our AUX input and our USB for our controls for our head unit. We have our ignition, start and stop. We have on the left side, we have our mood, so we can change our heads-up display and cycle up and down on that. So for that, if I hit mode, we have our menu, we have sound beat, buzzer volume. To select that, we hit mode again, then up and down for the buzzer volumes. Then we hit mode again to go back, up and down to go through everything else. So the speed beat means that it's going to beep if it sees that you're going over the speed limit. We'll give you a heads up. We're going to leave that off, let you choose if you'd like to use it or not. And then we have exit menu, and we go ahead and hit mode again, and that will exit us through that. Now to cycle through the trip A and trip Bs, we have our dimmers just by pushing the up and down without selecting mode. That also dims our radio as well. We have our headlight controls. Down is off, up is on, our left and right turn signal. Below that, we have our cruise control. Bring this and push that up once. You'll see a thing that says cruise control on and cruise control off. Then we have our set is to push this part up. That will set you at the speed that you're at, down to cancel, to resume, and then RES for resume, and then cancel is bring these back up again. On the right side, we have our wiper control. Pull it forward to spray your window. Before you get them in, you can roll this little dial up. Kind of hard to see. This here is for our trip, so we can see what our economies are, our average speed, or our travel times, the date, which I can set for you in just a minute. We have our tow haul mode here, which will give us better engine braking while driving. Your traction control, your four-ways, and your door locks. When it's red, it means that the doors are locked. When it's not red, it means it's unlocked. We have our fan speed here, which I'm going to turn down so you can hear me a little bit better. Temperature controls, cold and hot. Push for AC. Push is for recirculation.
We have our vent controls here. So we have our floor and so on. The vents you can open and close by pushing this to the left, closes it. Bringing it to the right with the open is open. You can turn your vents up and down. Then we have our radio here. For our radio, we can change AM and FM by pushing radio. For media, you can push media. It says no media device available because we don't have a iTunes or something inserted in the USB. We also have Bluetooth, which you can. So to get to Bluetooth, you select media. You go through that. You press X. Hit source. Hit Bluetooth, click add devices. You search on your unit for whatever pin number comes up and you can connect them together from the thing you're using. If you have multiple, you can scroll up and down, and you also can have paired phones as well. We have our trip. So our range on this is almost 400 miles for the full tank of gas that it has. We have our phone here. So if we pair our phone, we'd have all our phone controls and everything here. If we go to more, we can see the outside temperature, our rear camera. And it's kind of blurry at the moment because we got ring going on. Our clock, which is not proper, which I'll set in just a minute. Upper right hand corner, we have our settings, our displays, unit, voice, clock, and date. So we can set our time. Yep, time. It is 5:52. 12-hour. That's PM. Done. And then we're going to set the date. It's the July 22nd, 2020. Then you can set that there if you choose. And then you have your display modes, auto or manual for the front. Language, screen, touch, beep, and everything. And you can play around with this a little bit. We also have our screen off button here. So when you're driving, I'd like to have a dark area. So this will get rid of all brightness in the cabin when you're driving late at night. You also have your mute button, which will show a little mute. And then we can go back to our radio. You can change your channel there, or you can use the steering wheel to search through all the channels that come through. Also, you can control the volume up and down with the steering wheel as well, or you can turn it up and down that way. Also, you have your audio settings, so you can change all your loudness, equalizer, and such in this setting. And then you have another USB charger, USB with ignition, so you must have the ignition on for this one to use. On your dash here, you also have a nice little pocket. And then you have your regular glove compartment at the base, right here. And that about covers your vehicle. You have your door locks as well on here for your rear doors. And then you have your settings for your overhead lights. Leave it flush and it will turn on with opening up the door, or you can turn it to off where they don't. And then you have left and right for map light. These ones do not have, no, they don't have a mirror on these ones. And I believe that is it.